my God.
Me an opportunity to speak my voice and speak my truth as far as.
My name is Kevin Riley. I would like you to see my sign. My brother was shot and killed August 24th, 2006. My brother was going through a bad divorce, he was losing his children, and he lived for his family. And when he realized that his family was going to be gone, and he hit that point of despair, and I would tell him, like, hey, your daughter's, you gotta walk her down the aisle. Your son, you gotta watch him graduate. But he was so far into despair, he couldn't see the future he was living for that moment. He was looking at ways to kill himself online, so we needed help. So we took him to a public place, to a park, and we called the cops to have him come and help. Cops came and chased him down. He ran away, started barking orders for him to get down on the ground, yelling at him. And my brother wanted to go. He needed somebody to talk to. He needed somebody to show love and understanding. It was improperly executed, and my brother was executed. I'm not here today to be violent. I'm not here today to chant that makes no difference. I'm here to talk to a police officer. So I came out here on Saturday, and I've never been to a protest before in my life. And to be honest, I was scared. Because I know if there's a riot that breaks out, and I'm caught in the wrong place at the wrong time with my white skin, I might get my ass whipped or even worse. But on Saturday, when it hits national news like this, the people that have lost family members to this, all of the pain and the agony and the sadness floats up to the surface. And everywhere we look, social media, the news, friends, overhearing conversations, it's all about this. And we get to hear about how there's good cops and how there's bad protesters. And I'll tell you what, I went there on Saturday, and I got there early, and I went to each and every officer. And I started off with one, and I was talking to him like, hey, I just want to have a talk. Can you talk? And he shook his head. I was like, okay, well, if you're not allowed to talk, how about I write my number down on a piece of paper and I hand it to you? Would you call me when you get off of work, or even text me when you get off of work to have a dialogue with me? Because I don't know any police officers, man. I've had so much hatred and anger for 15 years, 14 years. Like, I can't manage it. And I know that you have that perspective that I don't know from the other side of the fence. And then I can tell you it from my perspective, from my side of the fence. Silence, brother. So I moved down to the next guy in line. Hey, if I write my number down, and I went through about 100 cops, and I talked to all of them. And I talked very cordial, the same manner I'm talking to you right now. And all I wanted was them to nod their head, that they would take a little piece of paper with my number on it and heal a citizen of this county, this beautiful Sacramento area. And I didn't get that. And then I became angry, Kevin. And I got mad, and I was frustrated, and I was sad. And people were around me that felt the same feeling of just disgust and frustration and anger and pain. And I was able to yell at this cop. And I've never had that opportunity before to say everything that's been building up, and I just let it unravel and just let it go. And he had no choice but to just stand there and listen. And I don't know if he paid attention or not. And then I went and I cried like a little child, weeping uncontrollably on a park bench. I walked away from everybody. And this black man, similar age to me, comes and sits down next to me. And he starts rubbing my back. And he's telling me, it's okay, brother. Let it out. I know that pain is real. And he reads my sign, and he's like, you know what? I don't want you to tell me how your brother died. I want you to tell me how your brother lived. And then just powerful moments like that. I had a woman come up and overheard me yelling, and she's like, can I take your testimony? I say, sure you can. And I was like, what are you looking for? She said, sweetheart, just close your eyes and talk. So I closed my eyes and I talked. I'm doing that right now. And then she starts crying. And I make it through my testimony, and then I start crying. And she asked me, honey, can I give you a hug? She gave me a hug that I needed. I've never had a stranger hug me like that. To bring out just, I laid my head on her shoulder. She laid her head on mine. We cried. And we had our moment. Surrounded by thousands of other people, diverse, having their moments. I saw blacks hugging whites and Mexicans hugging blacks, and nobody gave a two shits about what race I was at that moment. They just cared about my story, and they cared about my brother. People would ask me, hey, tell me about your brother. Strangers, they just wanted to hear my story. And all I wanted to do was find a cop to say, I want to hear your story. So this morning I took it off of work, and I came down here again early, and I started going through all the cops again to reach out my olive branch again. Hey, I'll write my number, the same line. Piece of paper, can I hand it to you? Just nod if you're with me. Not one answered me. I walked around the other side of the Capitol, and I saw 3 cops huddled together. And I asked them, hey, can you have a consensual conversation with me? Officer Hernandez with the CHP said yes. We're talking. I tell him about my brother. He says, Kevin, we have mental health training now, where we have more patience when people are like that. That officer should have never yelled at your brother and barked orders at him. That's the wrong technique, and we know that now. Do you know how much that helps me? To know that there's not going to be another Michael Douglas Riley? That's what this is for. It's for our therapy, for the people that have lost somebody. All we need is more Officer Hernandez's, right? That's all we need. I took a picture with him. I hugged him. I've never hugged an officer. He gave me his business card, said call me anytime. He was crying with me. He had empathy for me. He cared about his community. He cared enough to talk. That's all I wanted, brother, is just to talk. And I bet you at these protests, if you gave a megaphone to one of those officers and let him speak to us like I'm speaking to you, there wouldn't have been a riot. It makes you think, why are we having riots? Why are they shooting at us instead of talking to us? I was begging the sergeant, please pat me down, take me to the top of the steps, and let's talk. And I'll go home. I'll feel better. Trust me, I'll feel better. I've been waiting 15 years to have somebody say they were sorry, to have an officer apologize. I had to wait 15 years for Officer Hernandez to apologize to me and my family. That's sad. That's not them serving and protecting us. That's them covering their tracks, right? You need to give Officer Hernandez the ability to talk. Hand Officer Hernandez the megaphone and let him tell us that he's on our side on this case. We disagreed on the Constitution and how I think that some of their policies overlap our Constitution and violate our rights. We disagreed on that respectfully. And the only reason I was respectful, because he took the time to talk.